Hi, I'm Joshua,
Hi, I'm Jeremy.
and this is the Brothers Judah. And today we're going to talk about.
We haven't actually settled on a topic yet. We haven't figured it out. So
What do you want to talk about?
Let's begin. Well, there are a few things that came across my mind. There's one thing that's kind of been nagging me since April.
Yeah,
And I don't know, it seemed like a good topic.
that whole thing.
But
I don't know, it might be a little.
Is it too intense?
Well, it might be a little ambitious for the
Okay.
first episode.
All right, it could be. Do you have a suggestion? Is it...
I mean, I was thinking we could talk about whether or not we can actually have an impact, or whether or not society needs an impact. Like, is society okay, or is it heading in a bad direction?
That's a good topic. Mine is a little more specific and focused on a deep. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good topic. I actually had written down, I want to say to everyone, please call us out and let us know if you feel at any point we are straying from our true values, which I think you'll get a feel of our true values. So if you feel at some point we're not being humble, we're not being true, we're not being authentic, anything else I'm failing to mention, please let us know. Probably easiest way.
Hold the torches and the rotten tomatoes and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Let us know in a constructive, loving manner to help us and the world grow, rather than you suck because of that. Like, try to make it be constructive criticism.
I'm very sensitive, so be gentle.
Okay. So, yeah, that's a good topic. So, do you want to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should start with, does society need any help? Like, is society okay the way it is, and is it moving in a bad direction?
I mean, I think the initial feel that I want to say is, we definitely need help. There's definitely problems. I want to make sure I'm not kind of skewed and biased based on just drama. Mm-hmm. I think there are definitely areas where society needs help. And when we discuss those, I think we also need to keep in mind that there are many areas that are amazing and society is doing really well. So I definitely think there's a need, but we have to keep both sides.
I agree with you. There are definitely needs. Do you think society is moving in a neutral direction, or like the good is getting better and the bad is getting worse, or do you think society is just moving in a bad direction in general?
That's a tough question. I would say, I guess to answer that question, I'll ask a different question, which is, do I want to live in society in the future that I envision, assuming we follow the current trajectory, or do I want to live in a time prior? Would I rather freeze time or go back in time and live that life in a world or in the future? And I think there are different directions that the future can hold. Some of them I see me wanting to live in the future, but many of them, and there definitely are scary futures that I don't want to live in.
Or certain trends that are scary.
Yes, definitely certain trends. I mean, we could just start listing trends that come to mind and see if there's one trend we want to talk about.
Well, do you think, before we focus on a specific trend, do you think we can actually have an effect on, like, let's say the direction of society is not the direction I want, then, like, can I have an effect? Or, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I can have an effect on the whole of society, but I meant, can people, like, let's say the technological aspects of society, like, let's say we want to go back to more of a, like when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s, like climbing trees, riding our bikes, playing outside, like, versus
spending time with each other.
Yeah. So let's say, like, that's one aspect, like, okay, well, I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
But society's moving towards a more of a digital, virtual space.
Yeah.
Is it like, do we have a say?
I think we do have a say. I think that, so for instance, if somebody moves to Brooklyn, New York, and you revisit them 10 years down the road, most likely they're going to have a Brooklyn accent. So I think people naturally pick up and mimic almost attributes of others. I think whether good or bad. I know with my son, I have to act how I want him to act because I'll do something or he'll do something and I'll look and I was like, wow, that's me. like he got that from me. And if it's good, I feel obviously good, but if it's bad, I go, oh, and I have to take a look at myself. So I think people can influence other people. More focused on us and maybe this podcast, if we can actually influence people. I think if we are true to what we want this podcast to be,
Well, show
whatever,
Depends where they're listening.
whatever the Brothers Judah becomes and is, if we're true to that and we focus and work hard and try to follow through with it, I think that people will respond, and not everyone, but the people that do vibe and harmonize with us, I think we'll kind of connect.
Yeah. I definitely agree that being the example or living authentically is the best way to have an effect, and it has to affect the people in our lives, and then it can ripple out from there. People that we ideally come into contact with or can be in the same room with, even though this is a virtual thing. But I mean, there's definitely a lot going on in the world today. So
there is, and I feel like in the past there were more stable relationships that people had. It was more, you grew up with your family around you, not only your nuclear family, but extended family as well. And then your friends and neighbors, and people didn't move around a lot. People didn't, it wasn't a global civilization with, planes and technology and instant. I can talk to someone in Spain right now on my phone that I carry around. So I feel like I kind of lost where I was going with it.
Relationships, I feel like nowadays, I think relationships can be cheaper.
Yes.
They could be more transactional.
Yes.
They could be more shallow. You could be arguing with people you don't even know. You don't even know if it's a foreign bot or what. You don't even know what it is, if it's really a person. And you can be just arguing, and it's...
Or their age. I was looking, reading comments, and I read a comment, and in my mind, I just pictured another person like me. And I kind of I was just getting down and offended by it. And then a later comment he said, or I looked at the picture and I realized it was a young kid, and there's nothing against young kids, but I'm thinking
we don't know. The point is, we don't know that you didn't know him.
Yeah, we don't know.
So how can we, if we don't have a relationship with someone and we don't have that goodwill and that experience and know a little bit about them, how can we just objectively influence them online? It's...
So are you talking about... Elaborate on that a little more.
So when you have a relationship, like you and I having a relationship, right? So if there's an issue we want to discuss, and it comes up, let's say a little heated or whatever.
Okay.
We have enough goodwill built up from knowing each other and past experience, and I kind of know you a little bit, you know me a little bit.
Okay.
We can try to address that in a kind of appropriate. We could say, is this going to reach the person, or is this just going to add to negativity? But if it's just someone online you don't know and you don't have a relationship, it's what's the purpose? What's the value in? It's just
Are you asking that in how can we reach people? Or are you asking that question in pointing out a problem in society right now where everything, there's a lot of relationships online, and people see a comment and get mad and then defriend that person. Yeah. And so
I'm explaining it as a challenge in society.
Okay.
That's a challenge, is because we don't have deep relationships with a lot of the people we're interacting with online.
Yeah. That's definitely a challenge. Yeah. I mean, do we delve into that, or do we talk about a different topic?
Whatever. I mean, it's just kind of a general overview, I guess, of...
You know what I think? I think it would be really neat if we answered people, anybody who I almost see as let's say we're sitting on a road and they're walker-bys or whatever, and we're sitting here having a conversation, and nobody's talking to us, right? That's almost like the internet. And say we put this out wherever we put this out, we're just having a conversation, and at some point somebody might stop to check his phone or stop to pick something up or something and hear our conversation. And at that point, I'm hoping that they'll be intrigued and they'll look and listen. And then I hope that we join them into the conversation, and we find out how we can affect that individual. And then I think it will go from there. Then maybe other people will join the conversation. The next thing you know, we have a large discussion where we're discussing stuff and topics that the actual public needs.
Yeah. I mean, definitely when we start getting some comments in or some feedback, that can help shape the direction of the show. Yeah, totally.
So do we just delve into a single topic now, or is there
We could.
more?
Whatever you want to do. I mean,
Well, you did relate back to what you brought up. Did kind of relate back to the thing that happened in April.
are you referring to the global situation?
Oh, well, yes, but not it. I'm referring to what one of my friend,
That personal incident.
what he did with the personal incident where he.
I mean, we could.
I don't want to dive into that topic of
Yeah.
what's going on
Yeah.
globally. I more wanted to discuss the personal relationship between my friend and
I see why you're bringing this up, because I'm saying you need a relationship, and yet that didn't.
You
really work
need
with your
relationships.
relationship,
Well,
yeah.
no. There's two ends. It actually did work because the decision that the person made to separate,
Yeah.
it was from just through text.
Yeah.
So just through text.
Well, let's just say it's a polarizing subject.
Yeah.
It could be something in politics, could be something in religion.
Okay.
A very heated, polarized subject came up
Yes.
between you and a friend.
Yes.
You gave your perspective that this is kind of what I'm thinking.
I gave my
And
perspective.
The other person responded with anger and basically cutting you off.
Yes, basically, yeah. So basically, a friend
Yeah.
from over 20 years back from over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The topic I mentioned, and I didn't say it in a negative way. I wasn't like, "Oh, those idiots believe this. Oh, how could they believe that?" I was just sharing, and what do you think about this? And this seems weird, and this, and he disagreed with me, and I might have said something that offended him. I don't know what it was. I wish he would tell me. But he just stopped talking to me, and I texted, I emailed, and he was over the years keeping in contact with me. He was a good friend.
So that's actually contradicting my earlier point, which is like nowadays it's almost like there are certain topics in society that are so charged and so polarizing and so part of people's identity that even with a deep relationship, like there are people whose families are getting split from political differences, people on different sides of the political aisle, and it's like, that brings us back to the earlier point, is society moving in a bad direction? Like, with divisiveness and like why?
Well, I feel like if the world wasn't the way the world was right now, if he still lived nearby me, we still saw each other and had human-to-human contact, and then we disagreed about this in person, if he was sitting there and I was sitting there and I said what I said in text to him, I don't think the relationship would be over right now. I think we would still have been talking. I think there's something about being in person where there's just something about it. It's easier to just like press block on some picture on a screen than a person. And I think he would have felt my intent in my comments rather than just reading a line in his mind, interpreting how I said that line, and then getting offended and just put the phone down and that's it.
I think part of the problem is people no longer agree on what's real, what's reality. You could say this is a fact, and I could say, no, this is a fact, and we don't agree on what's real. And that's, I think, one of the main problems that society's dealing with. You can go to one source and give one information, and go to another source and give the opposite information, and it really comes down to, well, what's the source?
Not only that, if I go to a source and you go to the same source, we get different information because everything's personalized. And if I'm on a
video... you mean like on a platform or something?
On some platform.
Yeah.
And pretty much anything online. I mean, well, not anything, because there are some certain things that
we're going to get different information. Yeah.
Yeah, our experience is tailored
Except for me,
to
because
us.
I'm not on social media, so I don't get any.
Well, I shut off all my cookies. I log out of everything. I view in all like non. I try to get the standard generic that the
Yeah.
platform is putting forth.
Yeah.
Not I don't want to get tailored information.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what the answer is. I mean, personally, I don't have social media accounts.
See, I don't want to interrupt you, but I feel like the technology that is destroying our world.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also amazing and greatly improving our world, and it's kind of like a knife. You can use that knife to prepare a meal and be constructive and positive, or you can use that knife to kill someone or do something
Yeah.
damaging.
Yeah.
So I feel like the tools are just neutral, and I feel like how people use the tools and what the intent and the decisions that are made behind
But they're
them.
not really neutral because there are people. A knife is an object, but there are
Yeah.
people behind each social media platform
Okay.
programming it, and
Yes.
there is a monetary interest. So like let's say a social media platform is created to help connect people and help people relate and whatnot. When there's advertising, it's almost like monetizing friendship. It's like I join a platform to connect with you and connect with a friend and a family or whatever, and then now there's advertising in there, so now that's influencing that relationship.
Well, that's the key. I believe it's the advertising. I have nothing against truthful sharing of information,
Yeah.
which could be considered advertising. But what I don't like is now with the advertising, the platform now, we're not the customer, we're the product. So
Yeah.
so now they're creating the program for the advertiser and to make money rather than to serve us. And that's our fault
And
for
they-
not wanting to pay for
And
services.
they have a fiduciary responsibility to their stakeholders to do that. And to me, like a human relationship is an infinitely valuable, sacred thing. And no tool that is meant to connect a human relationship should be exploited for other purposes. Like it changes.
Well, so back to what I had mentioned relating it to a knife, I'm relating the technology and the ability to the knife. I'm not relating the specific programs that
Yeah.
humans wrote. Like, yes, you can point to specific programs and what we're
Yeah.
doing with the technology. I'm talking about the technology of say, a phone that allows me to have a conversation with a video to my
Yeah.
friend in Spain or my friend in some other location that he's not near me. So that tool, it's that
understand what you're
is
saying.
that's like a creative way. How it's used, there's I think a lot of problems that we can talk about, and what you brought up, I think that is a problem.
So what's the
There-
solution? Because like for me personally, I felt like certain platforms were causing me more harm than good, and like I was feeling more isolated and alone
Yes.
on those platforms than I did without them.
Yes.
And when I actually deleted my account,
Yes.
I actually felt a relief, and I felt more like in the world and more like able to focus on real relationships.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I agree with that. I think
all right, so in terms of a solution or in terms of where to go from here, I agree that we have to be of integrity and be authentic and be who we want to be and the way we want the world to be.
yeah.
In terms of interacting with other people, I think that happens through that interaction. But it can't be there has to be something else there than just making arguing over a point. There has to be some other thing that you're doing together. Like
Yeah.
there needs to be a foundation
Well,
of something.
So there was a group. So I guess I'll just so the church that I had been going to, I really felt connected to people. I really felt like I was building relationships. I really felt like it was just good. Now they switched over to do Zoom interactions, and I'm not commenting on the specific company Zoom. I'm talking about the method of video conferencing. So video, it's all video now. So now I see a little 1.5 inch to 2 inch, wider, tall face with a lot of little faces, and I can only focus on like one, and it's just, I feel like since that happened, even though I've been seeing them and supposedly building on that relationship through experiences, I don't feel like the relationships have been built at all. I feel like they've actually been declining, just kind of withering away.
So that adds to the point of the difference between a virtual relationship and a in-person relationship. And that also touches on this year, what's happened this year, and the greater effects on society, which we don't.
That's probably not a topic we're going to talk about.
I want to dive
in this
into
one.
But yeah, I agree. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So let's say hypothetically, if society continues to get more and more virtual, I actually just watched a sci-fi movie about that.
Oh man.
Where people were spending most of their time in a virtual reality and like out in the streets, like no one was walking around and stuff.
Oh man.
Which is, I actually like watching dystopias because it makes me feel more sane about our world.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like as someone who grew up pre-internet.
Well, we're a very unique generation because we are the first portion of our life, significant portion of our life that molded our experiences and personalities. That portion was before internet.
Yeah.
But then the next portion that contained internet, we were still young enough where our brain and our experience of the world was still evolving. It hadn't like set in stone. Very, very difficult. We saw the transition.
Yeah.
And I don't
we're right
personally
in
like it. I
cusp.
mean, I don't. I'm very, very concerned. I notice relationships are just cheaper and harder to build, and I feel like it's very easy to have tons of relationships, but none of them are worthwhile. None of them are
superficial.
They're very superficial.
Yeah.
There's no real depth to it. There's no true feeling. Like there's something about like my dogs. Like, I don't know, I come home, they greet me, there's a relationship. Even when I'm laying in bed and they jump up in the bed and we lay and cuddle, there's a feeling of a being connected to another being. And I have that with people as well. And even us sitting right here, like there's a feeling that we get through visual, through just
really knowing
ambience.
someone. If it's just like a selfie on a social media and you don't really know the person, you're not really in their life, it's like, what value is that really bringing other than making you feel less than or you feel lonely and not really connected?
Yeah.
I mean, I think these are real concerns, and hopefully we can dive in.
I wanted to say, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
I had a thought there where I've really, the last, 10 years of my life or something, I feel like I'm constantly being pushed more and more towards desiring truth. And having no manipulation of it, and even me accurately perceiving and understanding. And that's been my goal. And I see a lot lately, the past 20, 30 years, it's been changing to almost manipulate and mask the truth, even through like teeth whitening and tanning and just like manipulating, and then with the whole digital era where you can, like now you watch videos and editing, and you could watch something and it looks real, but it's totally fake. And with the Facebook thing, when we're going to someone's page, or not even specifically Facebook, any social media, when we go to that person, it's all pre-picked, planned, like a photo, like they pose, or they choose, I want to share this, I don't, and we're not seeing an accurate.
Or it's selective sharing. It's like this is the best little bits, and then you don't.
Or the worst. Some people, they just constantly post negativity about politics and this and other issues. But it's in both directions. It's any direction. It's a misrepresentation of the truth, and I think that causes division.
Plus, we could get into the whole media thing and how much of the media is portraying an unbiased perspective, that's a whole nother
There's a
can of worms we can do an episode on.
Yeah.
I think we've touched on a lot of different topics that we can dive into in more depth on different episodes. But I think the consensus is we think we can make a difference.
Yes.
Society has both good and bad, but you and I think personally are a little concerned with the direction,
Yes.
just from maybe what we grew up with.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I mean, we're gonna try to.
I like that. Yeah. I think next time, hopefully there'll be a comment, but most likely there'll be no comment. Let's be real.
Yeah, 'cause we have zero
we have zero
followers.
followers right now, which
Yeah.
is completely, understandable.
Yeah.
But hopefully there'll be a comment. But realistically, there'll most likely not be a comment.
Yeah.
If there is a comment, we'll talk. Maybe about that topic.
Well, we can
address
we
it.
can engage.
Engage it. If it's not, let's pick a topic and
Yeah.
really go deep into it.
I agree.
Really, really go deep into a topic.
We could do social media, or we could do mainstream media, or definitely don't want to talk about what happened this year,
Not yet.
or politics,
Not yet.
because
Yeah.
this will be posting after the election, thankfully.
That's true.
Yeah, we have some good stuff here, and hopefully we can try to get some good insights that are beneficial.
I just thought of something.
What?
So I made a comment saying that we can address in the next video people's comments, but that's not true because we're going to be recording the next video before they even comment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be in future videos.
Plus, we're not gonna we're just gonna have it inform our engagement. I don't think
Yeah.
we should be calling out specific people.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So.
Yeah, it's an informal engagement where we can, if a comment happens to jive and catch us on a topic that we want to talk about, and
Yeah.
it might be a topic we really don't know anything about or even aren't
Yeah.
inspired to talk about, and it's nothing against their comment. It's just it wouldn't be fruitful for us to discuss it.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right. Well, sorry about the technical glitch with that. Hopefully everything looks good. Would you like to end us? I know you didn't like the wave thing, so we can do something
just
else.
we are excited to talk about this stuff, and with the intention and focus of really trying to have a positive impact. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, good. I think I also want to say, which we might edit this, we might end it, but maybe not. I want to say that we're constantly going to be growing. So, like for instance, something as simple as I know every time I put my arm down, it's like so. Hopefully, I'll be able to fix this.
Yeah.
But not even just technical things like this. Even how we discuss in the topics and the amount of hopefully positivity that we're going to be sharing.
Yeah, definitely.
So. All right. Well, you can walk away however you want. I'm going to do this
leaving.
for Jacob.